Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Not Easily Broken. If you are new to our page, my name is Doran, and I am married for 31 years. And this is Not Easily Broken. And on this channel, on this page, we help couples who are struggling in their marriage. We help you to build better, stronger marriage through spiritual growth and personal growth aligned with the Word of God. Now, I am going to be talking to you about 10 ways to become a better husband, and save your marriage. I have been getting a lot of emails, a lot of DMs from husband asking questions like, how do I become a better husband? How do I, show up better for my wife? How do I show up better for my marriage? And it's interesting because that is a very valid question. And I believe that husband can ask the same questions and wife can ask the same question. How do I show up better for my husband? But I want to talk to the husband. I want to kind of, add some value to you. Now, I must admit to you that on this channel, we don't bash husbands. We don't emasculate men. I'm in the business of elevating men, elevating wives. I'm not in the business of talking down to anyone. I believe that we have all gone through situations in our lives where we don't necessarily show up and become or do the right thing. But I do believe that we have the capacity, we have the ability through God and through work ethic and through our consciousness and our intentionality to be the best version of ourselves. I am passionate about teaching about spiritual growth and personal growth. That is the glue, it is the key component of a successful life and a successful marriage. And so I want to talk to you about ten proven ways to become a better husband and save your marriage. Now, here's a disclaimer. Here's a disclaimer. Been married for 31 years myself, and I have had the challenge and the privilege of experiencing marriage and knowing some of the pros, the cons, the ins, the outs, the over, the under, unrealistic expectations, and all that kind of stuff. And wives are putting unrealistic expectations on their husband to be this and to be that. And then with social media, you can put a whole lot of pressure on your spouse that is not necessarily needed to build the kind of marriage that the both of you guys can enjoy and love. And so I want to talk to you. Number one, is you don't have a husband problem. Yeah, you don't have a husband problem. I want you to hear me out. Just kind of come along with me. You don't have a husband problem. You have a man problem. And I can honestly say that when someone asks me to help them to become better at doing marriage, when a husband asks me to help them to become a better marriage, I often ask them the question, before I can help you to become a better husband, I need to know what kind of a man you are. And the reason why I need to know what kind of a man you are, because I need to know your background, know where you came from, know how you were raised, know your core values, the principles, your moral standards, the character. All those different things are necessary. And why is it necessary? Because the truth be told, you're not really fixing your marriage. You are fixing yourself while you're in marriage. Let me give you a little bit about my life. Okay. I've been married for 31 years. I was not raised with my father. He was never in my life. A matter of fact, I just did a video today talking about it in depth, deep sea diving in my story so that you get to understand and get to know me for who I am, where I've been, and the experience that I've had over the years that I've been on this earth and the years that I've been married. I'm 54 years old. I know I look very good for my age because I take care of my body. Um, since 1997, I've been exercising and working out. So health and wellness is a key component of my life. But I'm not a young kid. I've been around here for a while and I've seen a lot. And the truth be told, not being raised with my father, not having him in my life, that impacted my life. It impacted how I show up in life and how I showed up in marriage. Being bullied as a child growing up, that also impacted my life because I had an anger problem in the earlier stage of my marriage. I was always angry. And, when my wife and I have disagreement, I was yelling on top of my voice. Growing up with five sisters also kind of contribute to me always, cussing and arguing, not curse bad words, but just arguing all the time. And so I had to learn that, for me to become a better husband, I must first become a better man. And so I decided to work on being a better man. I decided to dig deep into understanding who I am as a man, how God have called me, how He created me in His image and in His likeness. And a matter of fact, I developed a passion in not fixing my marriage. I became very good at fixing myself. I became very good at taking responsibility for how I show up in the marriage. And when I begin to understand that I don't have a marriage problem, I have a man problem. I started to work on myself. I started to read the word of God. I started to get mentorship. I started to get coaching. And when I became a better man, that's when I was equipped to love and serve in my marriage. And if we should go back to the beginning and go back to Genesis, you will see that what I'm teaching you is biblically sound. Because after God created man, God didn't give man a wife. God gave man work. And so the Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 15 that God took the man that He created and He placed him in the Garden of Eden to work it and to protect it. So when someone asks me to help them to become a better husband, I always say to them, let's find out exactly what kind of a man you are. Because if we go back to the Bible and look at the kind of man that God brought Eve to, right? The Bible tells us that God said it's not good for the man to be alone, and He took a rib from the man, He created the woman, and then He presented the woman to the man. What kind of man did God presented Eve to? God presented Eve to a man who was holy, a man who was righteous, a man who was relationally sound, emotionally sound, a man who was a protector, a man who was a provider, a man who was a lover, a friend. He was in the presence of God. He had a relationship with God. That's the kind of man that God presented Eve to. So you don't have a husband problem. We often have a man problem based on our pain, our trauma, our past, how we were raised, the things that we have been through, the past issues and the childhood issues that we never really dealt with. And so a lot of us come to marriage and we unpack them while we are in marriage. Okay. And so it's critical and it's so important for us to work on that. And the women are not getting a pass. I'm going to do a live on this and talk about what women needs to do, what wives need to do to become better equipped to love and serve your husband in marriage. And so the second thing that you need to do in order to um, uh, um, 10 proven way to become a better husband is number two, listen without interruption. You have to learn to become a good listener. I think because of how we are created by God to be solvers, we want to solve our wives' problems. We want to actually, a matter of fact, I've often say this that we have the tendency to always want to fix our spouse. And I know I have been guilty of that. That sometimes my wife is talking to me about something and I'm moving past the hearing her and the listening to her. And I'm going to the part where I want to solve the problem. And here's something that I found out being married for 31 years. 95% of the time when your wife is speaking to you men, she does not need you to solve her problem. 95% of the time when your wife is speaking to you, she already knows the answer. She just wants you to be a good listener. She just wants you to be a good listener because when you listen to your wife, it makes her become vulnerable. It makes her feel safe. You become that person that she become magnetized to. You become that person that she wants to just talk to. And I learned that when my wife used to say, babe, you're not listening to me. I remember one time I asked my wife this question. I said, what can I do to add value to your life? Just like that. You know what my wife said to me? She said, one of the best way that you can add value to my life is not cut me off when I'm speaking to you. I was like, whoa, babe. And she said, yes. She said, you have a tendency to cut me off when we're having a conversation. And she said to me, I don't like it. And it's at that moment I realized that I developed a bad habit, growing up with 5 sisters, that I'm cutting my wife off when I'm speaking to her. And when I asked her that question, what can I do to add value to you? And she said, stop cutting me off when we're having a conversation. And that's when I realized that listening to my wife is one of the most important things that I could do. Because the more that I learn to listen to her is the more I get information and then I get to ask questions. and I get data. Yeah, she gives me the data that I can have information to make informed decision. Does that make sense to you? Hey, Emerald, how are you doing? Welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. And guys, if you have not hit that like button, please like and please share. Thank you so much for coming on in here. And I promise you that you won't regret it. I'm going to give you information that's going to add value to your life and to your marriage. Okay, so number two, be a good listener. Listen without interruption. Show her that she is valuable. Mm, she is valuable. Active listening builds trust. Because a lot of times what I hear wife always say that my husband doesn't talk to me or he doesn't listen to me. You know, it doesn't make me feel like what I have to say is valuable. There's no one in the world that is more valuable to my wife. Outside of my relationship with God, no one is more important. But we get to that. All right. And so, number one, you don't have a husband problem, you have a man problem. And when you become a better man, you will be better equipped to love and serve in marriage. Number two, be a good listener. Listen without interruption. Number three, lead with love. Did you get that? You must lead with love, not control. You see, my wife does not need a boss because she already have one at work. My wife need a man that's going to love her. My wife need a man that's going to lead and lead by example. I am a servant leader. Husbands are servant leader. We don't rule. There's no such as rulership in marriage. A matter of fact, I don't even rule my wife. I don't own my wife. I am just a steward that God designed to love and to protect her. So I'm not her boss. My wife doesn't need a boss. Your wife does not need a boss. She need a lover. She need a friend. She need a man. She need a boo. She need her soulmate. And when you learn that and you understand that, man, listen, let me just be real with you. Our sin nature automatically will want us to overpower our wives. It wants us to rule over them. But God didn't call us to rule. God called us to serve. And a husband is a servant leader. God chooses you to be the leader. Leadership is not rulership. Leadership is by way of position, by way of authority, but it's by way of servant. It's by way of serving. It's by way of adding value. It is by way of yielding. It's by way of sacrifice. And so you are the foundation. That's the pecking order. The pecking order is God. It is the husband, or you have God, you have Christ Jesus, you have the husband, you have the wife, and then you have the children. But that doesn't mean that she's lesser than you. My wife is not lesser than me. She's not subservient to me. We are equal in essence of being and in essence of creation, but our position and our assignment is different. I refuse to believe that a man that treats his wife lesser than expect her to respect and honor him. It's just not going to work. And so you lead with love. You lead by way of love. Love is and of course wives need to respect and honor their husband. I'm not giving wives a pass on this one, but leadership in marriage is about serving. It's not about dominating. Jesus said it best that I did not come to be served, but I come to serve and to give my life as a ransom for many. So leadership is about service. You know, one of the book that I read, Miles Monroe, not Miles Monroe, John Maxwell. I love Miles Monroe. I love his teaching. God bless his soul. John Maxwell have a book, I think is the infutable law of growth, if my memory serves me right. And he said this, that a leader know the way, a leader go the way, and a leader show the way. Did you understand what I just said? A leader know the way, which means that you must lead by experience. You must lead because you know what you're saying, you know what you're doing. And then you must go the way, which means that you have to go where you're trying to send me. And then you must show the way. Sometimes there's a lot of people that, operate like a travel agent. They're trying to send you places that they've never been. I don't want to be a travel agent. I want to be a tour guide. I got two boys. I have two sons. One is 29 years old and one is 22 years old. And I've always maintained that I don't have to tell you how to live. I will live and let you watch me do it. That is one of the reasons why I'm not afraid to be a father. I'm not afraid to be a leader. I'm not afraid to be a husband. I'm not afraid to be, to be the one that mentor and coach them. Why? Because I lead by example. So when my kids messed up, I can talk to them because I'm leading by example. They've never seen me stepping out and cheating on my wife. They've never seen me have an argument and disrespecting their mother. So I can talk to them about relationship because I lived it. So a leader know the way, a leader go the way, and a leader show the way. So the best way that you can lead your wife is by example. I don't have to tell my wife what she needs to do. I do exactly what I need to do. And that's the easiest and the most effective way to lead. Okay. So number one, you don't have a husband problem. Most men have a man problem. And when you get being a good man right, you're better equipped to love and serve in your marriage. Number two, listen without interruption. Okay. Show value as you listen to her. Number three, lead with love, not with control. Okay. Leadership in marriage is about serving. It is not about dominating. And number four, speak life into her, not death. The Bible tells us in Proverbs chapter 18 and verse 21 that death and life are in the power of our tongue. See, we live at the level in which we speak. I've always tell men this, that your words have power. Your words are so powerful that it creates. Your word creates. You have the ability to create life or create death. You have the ability to speak life into your wife, or you're speaking death into her. A matter of fact, in Genesis chapter 2 and verse 23, the Bible tells us that when Adam opened his eyes and he saw this beautiful, gorgeous, amazing, fantastic, attractive woman in front of him, he said, finally, at last, finally, I have somebody that I can relate to. But then Adam looked at her and said, you are bone of my bone. You are flesh of my flesh. I will call you woman because you came out of me. So the first thing that Adam did when he saw Eve was speak into her life. He didn't try to touch her body. He didn't try to touch her breasts. He didn't try to look at her nice, curvaceous body. Gravity was not pulling her down. Everything was just perfect, all beautiful. He spoke into her life. There's something powerful about a man that knows exactly how to speak into his wife. Because you see, your words have power. Your words create feelings and your words create experience. That is the reason why when you look at your wife and you say, baby, you are beautiful. You're gorgeous. You're sexy. Oh, you're so fine. You're like fine wine. I can't get enough of you. Look at that body. Look at you. I'm so glad I chose you. I'm so glad you are my wife. You are an amazing woman, a beautiful mother to my kids. Girl, you are all that and more. I mean, you just captivate her mind. You just take her breath away. That is the power of speaking into her life. I remember I was coaching a gentleman, him and his wife, and the wife was complaining that my husband talked down to me. He never edified me, never speak positive things about me, always putting me down. I turned to the husband. I say, I want to ask you a question. If your wife go to the gas station to fill up gas, and the attendant or the gas assistant, pull up next to her car and say, hello, ma'am. How are you doing today? You are a wonderful, beautiful lady. I am so delighted to serve you today. How can I add value to you? And she told, she would tell him, hey, I needed to fill up my tank, whatever, super, unleaded, whatever, number 8, number 5, I don't know what the numbers are, right? And he just compliment her and just tell her how beautiful and attractive she is. So I asked the husband, where do you think that your wife is going to go and fill up her gas the next time she wants to fill up the tank? And he paused for a long moment. And I asked again, where do you think that she's going to go and fill up her tank? And he said, at that gas station. And I said, you better believe it. You are right. You're darn right. That's exactly where she's going to go. Now, I cautioned him and said, that doesn't mean that she's looking for attention. It doesn't mean that she's looking for a man. It doesn't mean that she's looking for somebody to be with. It's just the fact that whatever that attendant said to her, it makes her feel so good within her soul. Because you see, the words that you speak to your wife, it add value to her life. It can elevate her to a higher level of consciousness, or you can make her feel like a peasant. You can either use your words to be an asset, or your words can be a liability. And when a man knows exactly how to speak into his wife, you are absolutely undeniably giving her the ability to create, because your wife has a womb for a reason. She is a fertile ground, and it's your job to nourish her. So speak into her life. Proverbs 18 and verse 21, I'll say it again. Death and life are in the power of your tongue. Number 5, be present and available. You know, my friend, we need to put down this stupid phone. This thing is a marriage killer. You can be present and not there. You can be present and not in the moment. There are times when, my wife and I, we have this thing, what we call no electronics moment. For 30 minutes, we just sit down and talk. No phone, no internet, no social media, nothing. Just me, my wife, and us. Just really learning and gleaming and synergizing, synchronizing, creating a rhythm. No distraction. Because you can be present, but you're not really there. You can be there and you're not present. You can be present and you're not in the moment. And so it is important for us to get this right, that, we are bombarded 24/7 with all these different social media and the internet and 24-hour news cycle, and your phone is on. The first thing that you wake up in the morning and reach for is your phone rather than reach for your spouse. And so it is critical to you and to your spouse that you have quality time together. So number 5, you must be present and in the moment. She needs your time and she needs your mind. I'm going to teach good today, because here's the reality. Can I share this with you? The reason why most couples are having problems in relationship today, it is because you're not really there. You're not there. You can be present, but you're not there. This is the new marriage killer. I think I did a report on this, that most people having more arguments, they having more disagreement because they don't spend time to learn about each other. When is the last time you sit down and you just gleam from your spouse? You just kind of look into his eyes, you look into her eyes, and you just have that moment where you're not distracted by anything. It's just you and your spouse, just the two of you. Both of you guys, both of you, knotted together, fused together, bonding together, synchronizing together, syncopating together, creating a rhythm together that make you feel like you just lost in the moment. I mean, just lost in the moment. When is the last time? Hello? One of my wife's love language is quality time. And there are times when we just sit down and I would just have meaningful conversation. I just ask her questions and find out about her day. Ask her. Sometimes she's talking to me about things that she talked to me about maybe 2-3 days ago, and I listen like it's the first time. I don't cut her off. I don't be like, oh, I heard that before. No, I listen. Really? No way. Are you serious? What happened, babe? Oh my. What are you going to do about it? And then she catch herself and be like, hold on a second, babe. Didn't I talk to you about that 2 days ago? And I'm like, yeah, you did. But you were on a roll. I'm not going to break that rhythm. I'm not going to break that synergy. I'm not going to break that connection. Okay. All right. So number 6, keep romance and sexual intimacy alive. It is critical and it's absolutely important for a husband and wife to keep the romance, to keep sexual intimacy alive. There's a lot of times when we work with couples and, sometimes the wives, they said that they're not enjoying sex with their husband. So I ask them questions like, what is it? Does he have an ED problem? He can't get it up? And they said, no, he can get it up all right. It's just that he doesn't really pay more attention to me sexually. Now, ladies, I'm going to do a live talking about y'all. So, but this is for the brothers because these are questions that men are asking me how to become a better husband. So, I'm teaching men how to become a better husband. One of the area that I know for a fact there is what we call the orgasm gap. The orgasm gap is a a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a research that was done that shows that at least I think it's about like 60% of women have orgasm, and at least 40% of women don't reach orgasm during sex. And when they did the research, they realized that men reach orgasm at least, I would say that I think it was about like 98% of the time. Women reach, or I mean, men reach orgasm. And so the orgasm gap is not created by wives. It's really something that the husband are missing the mark in. And the reason why they're missing the mark is because a lot of men don't take the time to understand their wife's body. They don't take the time to understand the anatomy and the physiology of her body. And it is said that men just need a place to have sex, but women need a reason to do it. A matter of fact, if I may say so, we teach this in our marriage makeover coaching program that sex is wired to your wife's brain. Her brain is her biggest sex organ. And it is important for men to understand the anatomy and the physiology of her body. And so, in order for you to be better as a sexual partner, you need to know what drive your wife sexually. And that means that you have to ask questions. You need to know her body. You need to understand the erogenous zones, that there are special part of the woman's body that was created for sexual pleasure only. He has the C word, right? Hello, I'm not going to go deep into it because I don't want YouTube to flag my video, but you understand what I'm talking about. And when it comes to sexual intimacy, I'm not afraid to talk about it. There's nothing about marriage that I'm afraid to talk about. Nothing. I am bold. I am relevant. I understand marriage. I've been married for 31 years. And guys, listen, this is easy talk for me. But at the end of the day, men need to understand that. You need to study your wife's body. Her body goes through a cycle every 28 days. If she's in the prime of her life where she has menstrual cycle, every 28 days, her hormone is out of sync, out of rhythm. Estrogen level is off, and so it creates an imbalance in her body. You need to know and understand these things. PMS is real. They're not making it up. Hello. So to be sexually connected, you need to understand her body. You know, do you know that that part of her body that I talk about, it's called the clit for short. I'm not going to go deep into the word because I don't want YouTube to flag this video, right? But it has over what 10,000 sex sensory. 10,000. Think about that for a moment. That C word, the part of the woman's private part, or vajayjay for short. It has over 10,000 sensory. It is so sensitive that if you look at it, it starts to talk back to you. Y'all don't want to, y'all ain't ready for this kind of teaching. I'm telling you, y'all ain't ready for it. I mean, it is so sensitive that if you just look at it, if you just blow past it, I mean, I tell men all the time in my coaching program to make it your best friend. Communicate, talk to her, listen to her, breathe in her. Hello? I'm not afraid to have this conversation. I'm married for 31 years. This is easy talk for me, right? And so when you understand the anatomy and the physiology of your wife's body, you'll know exactly how to treat her. You know, I remember years ago, and I'm talking about like way back in the early days of my marriage. I was married when I was 23 years old, and my wife was 22 years old. And I remember there was a specific conversation my wife and I was having sexually, and she said something to me that I literally, I will never forget it. She looked at me and we were talking about sex and intimacy and all of that stuff. And she said, "Babe, I want to tell you something. You act like you know more about my body than you do." Ooh. Mm-mm-mm. My wife said, "You act like you know more about my body than you do." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Sometimes when we're having sexual intercourse, it's like you just want to do what you want." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, that position that you like, I don't really like it because I can feel you properly when you put me in that position." I was like, "Okay, so what position do you like?" And she telling me exactly the position she likes. Hello, right? The way she wants me to touch her body. And so I begin to realize that now I decided to become an artist and she is the canvas. And I just want her to give me the picture that she wants me to paint. Because the reality is that your wife know more about her body than you do. And when I get that data, I never forget it. So if I'm having sex with my wife and my wife said, slow down, I'm slowing down. And she says, stop right there, baby. Hold it right there. Ooh, just right there. Don't move, baby. Right there. Right there, baby. Right. Don't move. Don't move. I'm not moving. I'm staying right there. Because my job is to perform. My job is to add value. My job is to make sure that she is experience it at the highest level of consciousness. And I know sometimes this is uncomfortable for you guys, but there's nothing to be uncomfortable with sex. It's a beautiful thing. God created it for marriage. Hello, somebody. There's nothing to be afraid of. I ain't afraid to talk about it. So I'm not going to go deep into that, but again, understand the anatomy and the physiology of her body. Take her out and date night, surprise her. Don't let sex be a routine. It just kills your sex drive. And if I was speaking to the wives in this live, I would tell you exactly why you need to initiate sex, but I will leave that for when I'm going to speak to you, right? And number 7, you need to protect her heart. You got to protect her heart, man. You got to protect her heart. You have got to create an environment that she feels safe in. She must feel safe relationally, emotionally, spiritually. Hello. One of the things that I realize in our society today, that we look to social media as a way to really create love. No. You can get ideas, but true intimacy and true love is created from getting to learn about your spouse, understanding your wife, getting to add value to her life, creating an environment that she can thrive in. You see, intimacy and vulnerability, they goes together. They live together. They share the same space. They share the same room. You cannot have one without the other. And the word intimacy, it comes from the Latin word intimus. It is from that word you get innermost or innermar, right? It means intimacy. It's moving from the surface level and getting to know your spouse on a deeper level. In other words, you got to put on your scuba gear and your oxygen tank and go deep sea diving and understanding your spouse on a deeper level. That's the power of a man being a creator. You're supposed to be a practitioner of love and practice love and her every single day. If you marry the right woman, I'm talking about one that wants to be a wife, not a knife, but a wife, one that respects and honor and love you and have a passion to serve, have a passion to be a wife. That's an easy woman to love. Because God didn't tell the woman to love the man. God told the man to love your wife as Christ loved the church. Why? Because the woman has the capacity to receive from you. Woo, this is good teaching. The woman is the receiver. The man is the giver. And so you must become a practitioner and keep practicing loving her. And she knows exactly what to do with that love when you give it to her. She incubate that love and hand it right back to you. Are you hearing me? Wife is texting me. Did you get that? Okay. And so you must protect her heart. You got to protect her heart. I've been married for 31 years. And I tell you, when God revealed to me what I'm teaching you right now, 28 years ago, I decided that I am going to practice love on my wife for the rest of my life. Literally practice love. And I became a practitioner. I practice loving her every day. A doctor get to practice medicine. A lawyer get to practice law. I get to practice love. And I'm very good at it. Absolutely good at practicing love. Because I know exactly what my wife is going to do with it when I practice on her. Mm, boy, I love to practice. And so, yeah, when you protect her heart, she become emotionally sound. She become relationally sound. She also become intimately charged and intimately connected, because relational intimacy and emotional intimacy is something that a woman thrive for. Just being a provider, being a protector is not good enough. I know that we often think that's the highest level of the husband responsibility, but it's not. Mm. And this is where I'm going to talk about number 8. You must be a spiritual leader. And you don't think that God knew that there was a time coming in our humanity, in our human history, when wives are not going to be stay-at-home mom? You don't think God knew from the beginning of time that there was coming a time when wives were going to be what I call their own boss, CEO, and influencers? You don't think God knew that women were also going to be breadwinners? You don't think God knew that she's going to be the CEO of her own enterprise? You don't think God knew that there were coming a time in human history when wives are not just stay at home mothers anymore? God already knew that. You know, it used to say that the man brings home the bacon. Well, the wife bring home the bacon too. A matter of fact, she's not just bringing home the bacon. She owned the farm with all the pigs on it too. Statistics has proven that most women gross more than men in a lot of corporate America jobs. But there is a specific thing that I know without a doubt in my mind that a wife does not want to take leadership role in, and that is spiritual leadership. And God allow a part of her DNA to be reserved to respect and honor a man that knows how to lead her spiritually. You know, we have been working with couples for since over 10, 15 years, I believe. Over 15 years, my wife and I have been doing this. And 99% of the time, I hear wives said that, you know, I would just wish my husband would lead spiritually. I would love for him to just pray with me. I would love for him to just lay hands on me and pray together, read the Bible together, have devotion together. Hello? Are you getting this? So, spiritual leadership is something that I know without a doubt. When a wife is leading spiritually, it is because the husband is not doing his job. But if he's really doing his job as a leader, spiritual leadership, it brings so much intimacy. It is absolutely impossible for you to be spiritually sound and you and your wife is not emotionally and relationally sound. Because when you understand the vertical alignment, and that is something that we teach in our marriage makeover coaching program. And if you'd like to learn more about our coaching program, there is a link in the description and you can book a free consultation with us and we can talk to you about it to see if you qualify for our program. We teach the vertical relationship must be first, the God to man, the man to God relationship. And when the God to man, man to God relationship is right, then the horizontal relationship is absolutely much better. And so when a husband is leading spiritually, when he is connected to the source of love, when he is connected to God, when he see God as his true existence or the source of his existence, and he begin to tap into that source regularly, and he start to respect the covenant of marriage more than the love that he has for his wife. I respect the covenant of marriage more than the love that I have for my wife. I honor marriage more than the love that I have for my wife. And because I respect the covenant of marriage more than the love that I have for my wife, it gives me the passion and desire to serve her more, because I don't want no smoke with God. You know, First Peter chapter 3 and verse 7 tells us that we must live with our wife in reverence and in honor as the weaker vessel, right? So that our prayers will not be hindered. I don't want my prayer to be hindered. I want to honor my wife. I want to respect and serve her. I want to show up and be the best version of me so that she can experience the best of me. Excuse me. I know this kind of stuff may be sounding foreign to some of y'all, but it doesn't have to be foreign. Okay? So that's number 8, spiritual leadership. And then you have number 9, you also need to grow personally. Growth, personal growth. Personal growth is key. No marriage can outgrow who you are. Your marriage will never outgrow who you are. The marriage that you have right now, it is a reflection of you. I know. The marriage that you have right now, it is a reflection of the both of you. The relationship that you have with your spouse, it reflects the relationship you have with yourself. The Bible tells us that the scribes and the Pharisees, they came to Jesus and they asked him a question. Master, what is the greatest commandment in the kingdom? Jesus said that you must love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. And then he said that the second is likened unto the first. You must love your neighbor as yourself. How do you love you? How do you treat you? Because based on how you love yourself and how you treat yourself, that's exactly how you're going to treat your wife. And I'm not picking on no man, I'm just teaching. That's exactly how you're going to treat your wife. And when a man is distinguishedly proud of himself and love who he is and is proud of who he is becoming, you have no other choice. You become so magnetized to serving your wife that she doesn't even know what to do with the love that you have to show her. I mean, she just get overwhelmed by the love. I mean, she cannot be in. She must become intoxicated by your love. That's really what it's about. And the level of intoxication is based on the fact that you love you. You see, when I learned who I am as a man, and when I realized that I don't really need a lot from my wife to be happy, I just became so good at loving her. I talk about this all the time, that I only need 5 things from my wife to be content, because happiness doesn't come from my wife. I'm a happy person. I create my own happiness. I don't look to my wife for love. My wife is a recipient of my love, but she's not the source of love. The source of love is God. That's where my love comes from. And God tells me to love my wife as Christ loved the church. And so if I'm connected to the source of love, which is God, and I am created by God and I am a creator, then I became a practitioner that served my wife with love. She's a recipient of my love, but she's not the source of love. Okay. And so when you begin to learn and understand how to love your wife and love her from a God-centered place, it makes it easier, because she is, as I said, she is a fertile ground. She has a womb for a reason. Her womb is not just to push out babies, and her womb is not just for sex. Her womb is to help you to give birth to your purpose and to your destiny. That's why she's your help. Your wife's supposed to be your greatest asset outside of your relationship with God. And if she desired to be a wife, if she is a good wife, if she is a good woman, I'm here to tell you that you cannot lose with a wife like that. Oh my God. I know what I'm teaching because I'm living it. So number nine, you need to grow. You grow as an individual, and when you grow, everything around you grows. It is said that when the tide rises, all ship rise. Whether you're a towboat, a rowboat, a tugboat, a cruise ship, as you elevate your consciousness, everything around you grows, including your marriage. And finally, number 10, you must choose her daily. That's about faithfulness. That's about loyalty. That is about showing up when showing up is not easy. When temptation comes and when that girl wants to give you some booty, you say, no, baby, I don't need that. I'm married. I got a wife. I love her. You know, I've been married for 31 years. I grew up with 5 sisters. 5 sisters. And I've seen a lot. I've heard a lot. I understand a lot. And I remember years ago, one of my sisters was asking me a question. Do you see other women that you like? And I said, yes. And I said, you can tell my wife that I told you that. And she said, why? I said, because my wife asked me that question and I told her the same thing. That I see beautiful women that I like. Do you think I'm dumb enough to say no to my wife if when she asked me that question? When she said, "Babe, do you see other women that you find attractive?" I said, "Yes, honey. I see a lot of attractive women. I work in Manhattan. I travel on the subway, on the train. I see them every day." But I said, "My heart desire to be with you." I don't allow my mind to wander. I don't allow my mind to start thinking about things. My mind is under subjection by the power of the Holy Spirit. The Bible tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4 and 5 that the weapons of our warfare, it is not carnal, but it is mighty through God in the pulling down of stronghold, casting down every thoughts and every imagination and everything that lift up itself against the knowledge of God. When you, as a kingdom man, as a kingdom citizen, as a husband, as a spiritual leader, understand that you have the authority over your body, over your flesh. You don't let this flesh control you. That's why the Bible tells us in Galatians chapter 5 and verse 16 that we must walk in the spirit and we will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. Here's the reality. We must live from the inside out, not from the outside in. Greater is he that is in us than he that is in the world. So the moment I realize that I have the power to put my body, my emotions, my feelings under subjection, under the power of the Holy Spirit, which is my help, it becomes easy to stay faithful, because the fruit of the Spirit is love, is joy, is peace, is long suffering, it's temperance, right? It is self-control. Self-control is one of the fruit of the Spirit. So if the 9 fruit of the Spirit is manifesting in your life, then it gives you the attribute and the characteristic to stay faithful. So my friend, as I land this, as I close, why am I sharing this with you? Because as a husband, as a man, you have the ability and the capacity through the Spirit of God, through the relationship that you have with God, through you showing up and you're working on yourself, becoming a better version of yourself. You have the power through the Spirit of God to become that husband that your wife can't resist. I tell my wife all the time, I don't worry about you leaving. I really don't. I don't worry about you leaving. I don't worry about you having an affair. I'm not concerned about that. I'm not going to live my life wondering if you're being faithful. I know what I bring to the table. I know the kind of man that I am. I know the husband that I am. If you want to let the enemy put thoughts in your mind that is not real, and you follow the plan of the devil, you are destroying your own life and integrity and character because of sin. But as for me and my house, we're going to do the right thing. I tell my wife all the time, I said, temptation is always going to be there. Or cheating is easy. That's easy peasy. Man, that's a woman will lay on their back for nothing. Every man out there can find a warm place to put it outside of their relationship with their wives. But it takes a real man. It takes a man that understands that you don't need more than one wife, or you don't need another woman on the side. You can invest and you can pour in. You can create the love that you desire right from the source of love that God gives you, which is your spouse. Just practice on her. That's it. That's it. And if we go back to the beginning, we see exactly that God created one man and one woman. And that's good enough for me. That's good enough for me. Hello, somebody. You know, I wish I had time to unpack this, but I have to go. But as I close, I want to just share this with you. The scribes and the Pharisees that came to Jesus, or I think it's in Matthew chapter, I don't remember. I think it's in Matthew chapter 5, if my memory serves me right. I don't remember exactly, or it's Matthew chapter 8, 19th, if my memory. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna quote the scripture, and you can do the research on it. They asked Jesus, for what reason is it lawful for a man to put away his wife? And Jesus looked at them and said, are you dumb? Are you crazy? I'm just paraphrasing. But Jesus really said that, haven't you heard or haven't you read that in the beginning, God created a male and a female? Hello. Give me a minute. You said, haven't you heard that he created them a male and a female in the beginning? And he said, wherefore shall a man leave his father and his mother and cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh? Why did Jesus bring them back to the beginning? Because Jesus was bringing them back to the source of love, bringing back to the harmony that Adam and Eve had in the Garden of Eden before the fall. So when a man or a woman is saying that, oh, I'm going to throw away my marriage, I'm going to throw away my spouse, God wants you to go back to the source. God wants you to get back to the beginning and look and see exactly how it was. And when two people decided to lean in and gleam and add value, you can do anything, guys. And so that's what I want to share with you. Husbands, I'm here to add value to you. I'm not here to beat you down. I'm not here to trample down on you. I don't emasculate men. This is not the platform for it. This is a platform where you can thrive and you can flourish. And so I really wanted to share this with you. And I did a video today that I can't wait to edit it and upload it. I tell my story. I talk about my story, not raised with my father, him not being in my life. Met my father for the first time 6 years ago. Married for 31 years, being an honest husband and faithful husband to my wife, loving her, caring for her, and adding value to her life, having two sons that I love and I mentor, I pour into. Listen, when you trust God, God can do amazing thing in your life. That's why I'm so bold. I'm so confident in what I teach, because I only teach the Bible. That's it, and that's all. That's it. You want to challenge what I teach? Let's do it in the Bible. But it's not Chat GPT. This is not AI. This is the word of God. AI can't give you revelation. It cannot give you impartation and discernment and knowledge and wisdom and understanding, but the Spirit of God can. And so, guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you were blessed by this. I pray that you will continue to work on yourself and build the kind of marriage that, number one, is not easily broken. And men, you have the power. You have what it takes to be the kind of husband that your wife love coming home to, or the kind of husband that your wife can't wait to come home to her. You have the power to do that. I hope this was a blessing for you. And if you have not hit that subscribe button, please subscribe, please like and share. Thank you for watching. May God continue to bless you. And I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Shalom. Bye-bye.